Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Rofrano from the Natural Medicine Clinic in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And today I'm talking to you about dizziness and vertigo, natural solutions. You see, over the last 30 plus years, and after seeing over 100,000 patient visits, dizziness and vertigo are some of the most common symptoms that people come in with, right up there with headaches, migraines. As a matter of fact, in any given year, it's estimated that 20% of adults experience dizziness and up to 5% experience vertigo. The difference being dizziness is an unsteadiness, just feeling out of balance. And vertigo is where the actual feels like the room is spinning around, and there's oftentimes nausea and vomiting associated with that. Sometimes that can get so severe people can't even drive. So it can be very debilitating. And what causes this? Well, it's widely thought that with crystals in the ear get out of place and can cause, that's the main cause of this vertigo. And actually, that may be true to a certain percentage of people, but what I found there are a number of other causes and some very simple solutions in getting better. And one of the biggest causes I've seen for vertigo and dizziness both is structural, what we call structural causes. There's a type of vertigo called cervical vertigo, and that means it's from the neck. So oftentimes a trauma to the neck, whether it's a car accident or some kind of injury, can injure the neck, and the balance centers within a lot of the balance centers within the body, proprioception centers, are located within the neck. And that can affect your balance, and also blood flow up to the brain. The arteries go through the neck up to the brain. So if there's a lot of congestion and tightness and restriction, that can cause dizziness and vertigo. So one example is I had a patient a while back come in. He was bench pressing and started coming down with dizziness, vertigo. It was so bad he had to leave work. He wasn't able to drive. He had to have people drive for him, or he barely was able to. He had so much anxiety around it, or about driving, whether he was going to have an attack during that time. So he came in, evaluated him. It turned out he did have some compression, some irritation in the neck. Within 2 weeks' time, he was significantly better. Within a month's time, all better. And these are just some of the simple fixes for something as severe as vertigo. And then other times, people, it doesn't have to be an accident. Like I've had patients that were painting their room, and they're like looking up for the entire weekend, rolling. And they're like painting the crown molding and all this. So just that compression in the neck can cause irritation, compression, affect the circulation to the brain, affect the balance centers. So I had patients come in with that as well, and doing an evaluation, some treatments, and typically within just a few visits, significant improvement is noticed within 2 to 4 weeks complete resolution, but oftentimes within just 2 or 3 visits, very significant improvement where they can function again. And there's other, just to run through a few other common causes. There's nutritional deficiencies that can cause both dizziness and vertigo, like B12 deficiency. When patients come in and we do an evaluation and we do lab testing, so B12 deficiency is one common cause. Vitamin D, iron, those are all, they all can contribute to dizziness and vertigo. I had a patient some years ago. She was in early 20s who was deficient in all of those. Plus she had other things, but hers was so severe she was blacking out 5 to 10 times a day. That's how severe everything was. So just by determining the root cause, correcting these deficiencies, she also had repeated trauma, from playing soccer. So was hitting the ball multiple, probably thousands of times in her life as a kid, all the way through her teens. And so between a combination of that, she had one of the most severe cases I've seen. Within a couple of weeks, significantly better. Within 4 weeks, completely better, and she had this for years. So it's just a matter of getting to the root cause and finding out what's going on and then correcting it. So besides structural issues and deficiencies, there's toxins. So I talked about iron. Being an iron deficient can cause dizziness, weakness, vertigo. Well, too much iron actually can cause the same symptoms. And I had a patient recently come in, her iron levels were astronomical. They were through the roof, like really toxic levels. And she was having vertigo for almost 20 years and was going and getting all these treatments for the crystals in her ears. It would help temporarily, but this has been going on for almost 20 years and she was still having it. So toxicity can cause vertigo and dizziness. So not only iron, but heavy metals, mercury, lead, arsenic. Oftentimes we'll do testing for those as well, and sometimes they'll come back positive. That can cause brain issues, neurological issues, including dizziness and vertigo. And then we have, speaking of toxins, so food can be a toxin to some people. So certain types of food sensitivities, food reactions. Perfect example is gluten. A gluten sensitivity is known to cause neurological issues. So a lot of people relate gluten only with digestive symptoms, but in fact, people with gluten sensitivity or celiac, less than half actually have digestive, and it's manifests in other ways, and one is neurological, and dizziness and vertigo being one of them. So ways to determine that, you can either we oftentimes do testing for that. Also, there's a specific diet I came up with called the free diet, which is not only free of gluten, but free of those foods that are most commonly responsible for inflammation, digestive, and other chronic issues. They're free of the most common food allergens, like I said, not only gluten, but gluten, grain, sugar, yeast, corn, soy. And if you would like a copy of that, we'll put a link below, and you could, feel free to click on that. We'll be happy to send you a copy of phase 1 of the free diet. So that can help you determine, what foods you might be sensitive to. And lastly is adrenal dysfunction. So you may have heard me speak about adrenal fatigue, adrenal insufficiency. So if you run under a period of stress for a period of time, like all of us, and eventually it can wear you down, you can become exhausted, can develop low blood pressure, and even low blood sugar. So either of those two things can cause dizziness, vertigo, especially when you're changing positions, you're sitting or laying down, you go to stand up, and you start losing your balance. So that's oftentimes related to adrenal dysfunction. And that's, we do some testing for that, and there's very simple solutions with diet, supplements, lifestyle changes. And if you look at some of our other videos, I have 4 or 5 of them on adrenal dysfunction and how to clear that up. Another example is someone I had recently who had vertigo, dizziness for many years, and no trauma to her neck, anything like that. But she was had sailed boats over many years, and just looking up at an angle, for many hours at a time, and again affecting the neck, causing that congestion and affecting the circulation up to the brain. And usually it's not, when patients come in, it's usually just not one thing. It's often a number of things. It could be neck related. It could be nutritional deficiencies, again, B12, D, iron. It could be toxins. It could be adrenal dysfunction. It could be food reactions. Usually with these chronic health issues where patients have been to all kinds of doctors, like the one I mentioned, for almost 20 years, going from doctor to doctor, neurologist to ENTs, tilt tables, and all this, and not getting better. Usually we find it's a number of, a combination of different things, and once we determine the root cause, then it's very simple to find solutions to these chronic health issues that you have that just aren't going away and no one can figure out. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you know anyone that would benefit from this, please feel free to share it. And if you want to copy the free diet, just click below as well. And thanks for joining me today, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again.